What's up, homies? Welcome to another episode of the Homies Real Estate Podcast. Here's your host, Anthony.
I'm Angel.
I'm a realtor.
I'm a lender.
And together we're breaking down this crazy real estate market. Angel, it's the beginning of the month. What time is it?
It's market update time.
Time to go over the market updates for Los Angeles County. Did prices go down some more, or are we seeing prices go back up again? We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down and then discuss what we anticipate happening in the future. So, Angel, with that said, I'm just going to go rocket rounds, go over all of this data really quickly. We'll dissect it and then give our projections. So, let's look into the median sales price. Right now, it's $840,000 in Los Angeles County. That's a decrease of $21,000 since last month. In July 2022, we're looking at $861,000. Now, a year ago in August 2021, that was $827,000. So you're talking about $13,000 increase year over year, which is a little bit compared to what we historically see. Now, when we look at median sales or median price per square foot and another indication of whether prices are decreasing, yes, they are. It dropped from $591 in July 2022 to now $583 in August 2022. Now let's look at how fast homes are selling. So the median days on the market right now is 16 days on market. That's an increase from 13 days last month. In April 2022, so like 4 months ago, we were looking at 9 days on market. So we've almost doubled since then. When we look at inventory month supply, so if there was no more homes listed in Los Angeles County, it would currently take 2.6 months for the current homes on the market to be sold. In a balanced market, we're talking about 5 to 6 months. And in a buyer's market, we're talking about 6+ months. So you can see that we've increased quite a bit. I mean, we used to have 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 at an instance earlier this year, but now it's at 2.6. Still a ways away from a balanced market, but this is good news for you buyers. Now, when we look at active listings, how many homes are available to be purchased? We've seen an increase since last month. We now have 13,139 active listings. However, this is still less than last August. Last August, we were looking at 14,000 active listings. And historically in August, we're looking somewhere in the ballpark of 18,000 to 20,000 listings. So we do have fewer listings. And then when we look at how many closed sales, right? Another indication of how hot the real estate market is. We had 4,553 closed sales in August. Now, this is 30% less than a year ago. So you can see the market is really starting to cool down in regards to how many homes are being sold. Typically, August is one of the hot months of the year. We're typically seeing around 6,000 to 7,000 sales. And again, we're looking at about 4,500 this past August. So yeah, that's your real estate update there in a nutshell. Angel, what caught your attention the most?
Man, I think we've been talking for the last few months about a market shift, and it's definitely been happening before our eyes over the last couple months.
Oh, wow.
I think one thing to mention, we might have mentioned on previous podcasts, this is happening during, based on the seasonality of real estate, during the hottest times of the year, right? June, July, August, and we just continue to see more days on market, purchase prices or the average sales price decreasing, right? All these indicators that are great for you buyers, right? I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for buyers right now. I think the hard part is with the rates, right? I think interest rates are kind of what are killing everybody. Just to kind of give you guys an update, I'm pretty sure today the average 30-year fixed rate's over 6% again. Wow. So just 2-3 weeks ago, the average 30-year fix was like 5%. So that's how volatile rates are right now, right? Yeah, that's in mid-July, they were around 6% as well. So rates are changing nonstop, which is affecting you buyers, is purchasing power, right? 1 week you may be qualified for, let's say, 650. The following week you may be qualified for 620. So it's very critical to be in contact with your lender, but also if you can afford the payment right now, I know we keep saying this, but we can't stress it enough. This is a great opportunity to slide in and get your house. There's a lot less competition out there. Seller credits, we're seeing seller credits like crazy right now. It's actually insane. I think.
Angel, what's a seller credit?
So seller credit is when they help you with your closing cost, right?
Mhm.
But the reason why that's so critical, or that's so beneficial, besides you potentially coming in with not paying your closing costs or paying less of your closing costs, is
Mhm.
you can use that to buy down your interest rate, right? So although rates are higher right now, if the seller is going to assist you with buying down your interest rate, right, you can get a much cheaper payment by using that assistance from the seller to bring your monthly pay, or to buy down your interest rate, which of course leads to a lower monthly payment.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of flexibility, a lot more negotiation tactics that we can use right now on the buyer side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can attest to the seller credits. We're starting to see that they're becoming increasingly popular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say over 50% of deals are now getting some sort of seller credit just to help out with either the closing costs or help buy down the interest rate, like
Yeah,
Angel mentioned to make that mortgage payment more affordable.
exactly.
Now, what caught my attention the most, and Angel referenced this, is the lack of demand that we're seeing, right? Because there's not as many homes for sale as we saw historically the last 5 years. Yet, we are starting to see homes sit on the market longer. Right now, the median days on market is 16 days. We haven't had 16 days median days on market since 2020, and that was July 2020, right? So that was
2 years ago.
yeah, and that only happened because of the pandemic and because there was some indecision. People didn't know what to do, and people were didn't know
Mm-hmm.
whether the market was going to crash or not. So that was really the only instance that we had 16 days, and then before then it was the beginning of 2020. So it's been over 2 years now since homes been sitting this long on the market. And then when we look at inventory month supply, again, that's 2.6 months. In April, that was 1.6 months. Like that increased by 1 month so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't had 2.6 months since, again, 2020. So you're seeing this trend where homes are sitting on the market a lot longer, and sellers are beginning to realize that
Yeah.
if I want to sell my home for top dollar, I need to sell it faster, because every single month that I wait, it seems like prices are decreasing. So if I'm able to properly market my home and offer flexibility for buyers and give closing costs or buy down the interest rate, then I'm able to sell my home sooner. So it becomes somewhat of a win-win, because the seller gets to sell their home sooner than later, and then the buyer at the same time gets to get this credit to now make their mortgage payment more affordable. And at the same time, they're trying to beat interest rates before they continue to increase, because like Angel mentioned, they increased from 5% a couple of weeks ago to now 6%, and who knows where they're going. They may even go into the sevens. So the sooner that you're able to purchase, the sooner you're able to lock in a lower rate. Yeah.
No,
So
I agree 100% with everything Anthony said. And I don't really work obviously on the seller side. I'm more on the buyer side. But what I will say for you sellers, what I do see with homes on the market that are priced correctly, you are getting the offers.
mhm.
Your homes are selling relatively quick.
Mhm.
So it's important more than ever to pick the right agent, right? Because I think before anyone can list a home, and they'll for sure get an offer, right? Six months ago to a year ago, it was just so easy to sell a house.
Mhm.
Now it really comes down to strategizing, to marketing, to really executing on the sale of your purchase, right?
Mhm.
So right now it is very, very important to hire the right listing agent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And an agent that understands the market. Like doing these market updates and listening to this is really imperative every single month to stay on top of what's happening.
Exactly.
I will say that right now, this is the real estate market for closing costs. This is the right real estate market for buying down the interest rate, because homes are decreasing the last couple months. So the comparable sales are there. You know, the home across the street likely is sold a couple months ago for $50,000 more than what you're gonna sell your home.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have the flexibility to give the closing costs just because of the fact that the appraisals were there before. Like the home sold there, so it's going to appraise now at a higher rate, at a higher value.
Mhm.
So this is the perfect market for closing costs, for buying down interest rates, and sellers need to be very flexible with that, because if not, then it might be more difficult to sell their home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think yeah, what Anthony said again, just to I agree 100%. So yeah, you buyers right now's the time. Take advantage of it.
Mhm.
It doesn't seem like it because of how ugly rates are. Or I wouldn't say they're ugly, but more volatile, right? I think that's the better word to say. It's just one day they're one, and then the next day they're another.
Mhm.
Sometimes it feels like you would think that your lender's BSing you, like, oh, you told me the rate was this, and then the next day it's this, but that's just how it is right now for us.
Mhm.
Sometimes we kind of seem like the bad guy, but we, the market does what it does, and we have to deliver that news to you clients.
So, Angel, let's talk about a strategy for buyers right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, like we mentioned, this is the perfect market for getting closing costs or buying down the
Yeah.
interest rate. How does that work?
Yeah. So a strategy, I mean, it really depends. Strategy is really going to more depend on how much money you have to play with, right? And the reason I say that is if you have enough for, a basic FHA loan, 3.5% with the closing cost, which is still a lot of money. I'm not saying it's a little bit, but there's not too much flexibility, right? Because we don't have, maybe you can't buy down the rate, or or you can put a bigger down payment, which will lower your mortgage insurance, whatever the case may be, right? So, but let's say if, for example, if a buyer has 10% to work with, right? A 10% down payment, maybe you look at the option of, instead of doing 10% down, you do 5% down and use 2 points to buy down your rate. That's probably actually going to give you a cheaper monthly payment than a 10% down payment, and you're still going to have a good amount of chunk of change left in your pocket after you close, right? Now, if the seller is willing to get involved and help pay for closing costs, even better. There's things that are called a 2-1 buy down, which is kind of like an adjustable rate mortgage. Your first year, your interest rate is 2% lower. So let's say if your interest rate starts at 6%, the first year your interest rate is going to be 4%. Then the next year it's going to be 5%. Then after your first 24 months of payments, you'll go back to a fixed rate at 6%, right? What that does is it buys you buyers time to refinance in that 2 years, right? When rates do come down, as I'm projecting, and a lot of experts are projecting that rates should come down within the next 2 years, right? It's a little bit more of a gamble, but it is a potential option for you. One thing on the buy down though, that does have to be paid for by the seller, right? If you want to do the 2-1 buy down, a regular buy down, you can pay for it yourself.
That's a great one, Angel. The 2-1 buy down. That's an incredibly powerful tool right now if you're able to get the sellers to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say another option is to just get closing costs. Let's just say $10,000 in closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
Put that $10,000 in closing costs into a savings account, and then pull $500 a month from there, or $1,000 a month from there,
Mm-hmm.
to subsidize your mortgage payment. And then that'll also buy you some time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And cash is very valuable. It's more valuable than usually, a mortgage loan, because mortgage loans tend to be lower interest rates. So
Yep.
that's another very powerful tool, is just putting the money in a savings account and pulling
Mm-hmm.
$500 to $1,000 a month to subsidize your mortgage payment until,
Yeah.
like we mentioned, interest rates get better. And then once interest rates
Yeah.
get better, you can refinance
And,
your right.
no, and I agree with Anthony's tactic. I think that's an amazing one. But one thing to mention with all this, it's gonna take on your guys' end a little bit of faith and a little bit of gambling, right? Like,
Mhm.
there's no promise there's no guarantee the rates come down. Um, there's no guarantee the rates come down, right? So you have to be willing to take that risk. And sometimes when you're purchasing a house, those are risks you're gonna have to take, right? Like me and Anthony said multiple times on this podcast, the most important thing is your monthly payment, that you can afford it, right? And that you're not cutting all these other things out of your lifestyle, out of your budget, so you can afford this payment. We want you to live comfortably. But if you can make it happen, and if you can budget maybe just a little bit and buy yourself some time, again, it's not a guarantee, but I think it's a very, very high chance, right? That they're gonna come down eventually within the next 2 years, especially once we feel more of a recession going on here in the United States.
Yes, absolutely. Angel, let's give our projections. So um we both made projections last month, and we both anticipated prices dropping somewhere in the ballpark of $10,000.
Hmm.
And we were wrong. Prices dropped $21,000
Yeah.
since last month. This is the median sales price. So we're now looking at 840,000.
Mhm.
At our peak this year, it was April 2022 at 900,000. So you can already see we've dropped $60,000 from our peak, which is crazy to think about. Do you anticipate prices continuing to drop heading into September?
I do. I do definitely see that happening. Mortgage applications are at an extreme low right now. So not a lot of people are applying for mortgages. Again, volatility in the rates. The average 30-year fixed rate as of today is over 6%. Yeah, with the Feds already next month, or this month, excuse me, it's September now, are going to meet. They're going to increase the Fed fund rate. I'm almost guaranteed at least 75 basis points. So that's not going to help us out most likely.
75 basis points, by the way, is 0.75%.
0.75%, correct. So they've been aiming at that, so pretty sure that's what's going to happen. And then, yeah, I think just seeing the market ourselves being out there, just a lot less activity going on, right? So always going to go back to simple economics of supply and demand. It's going to be, there's less and less demand right now on homes, so I think that will drive the prices down. I'm going to go about another 10,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm right there with Angel. I think prices are going to continue to go down. We're seeing that trend. We're seeing there be less buyer demand. We're seeing homes continue to sit on the market longer. As we show homes, as we scroll through the MLS, you just see a lot more price reductions. So yes, I think prices will drop probably another 10 to 15,000. I'm right there with Angel. And I expect home prices to likely drop heading into the fall, into the winter. I don't know how low they can get. I anticipate median sales price getting under 800,000. Right now we're at 840,000. But it's crazy to think that year over year we're already almost equal. Like we're at 813,000 in August 2021, and now we're at 840,000.
And Anthony, if it does drop to 10,000, will we be at a depreciation year over year?
Depreciation year over year, yeah.
If we hit 830,
if we drop under 838, where is it at? August 2021, 827.
Oh, September. It's gonna be for September next month.
Oh yeah.
No, it'll still be appreciation because of 820.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see where it goes. I think the only way we see appreciation sometime throughout the rest of this year is if rates get better, right? I think that would definitely help stimulate the housing economy and housing market.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I will say for you buyers right now. Historically, home prices tend to appreciate. And at least the last 15 years, historically, interest rates have been better than 5%.
Yeah.
So I anticipate that eventually interest rates will drop to pre-pandemic levels under 5% again. And once interest rates get a lot better, you're going to start seeing the biggest pool of buyers, which is first-time home buyers, re-enter the housing market. And then once they do, you're going to see a bigger pool of buyers qualifying for more. And you're going to start to see home prices really start to skyrocket again. We don't know when that's going to happen, but if you're able to purchase before then you're probably going to be able to realize some of those equity gains. So this is what our thought is. I mean, home prices, they tend to appreciate over time. You just have to have faith in the housing market, and know that, okay, it might be a bumpy road for the next 6 months, maybe a year, but then interest rates will likely drop back down under 5%. And once that happens, you're going to see that buyer demand again.
And just to kind of speak to that, sorry, we're wrapping it up, but when the rates dropped down, I was getting texts from clients who were on the sidelines saying, oh, I heard rates, they hear it in the news or wherever they hear from, and they're texting me talking about how they want to start looking at homes again, right? And it goes back to just being ready and having your pre-qualification in line, because now those people are trying to come back into the market now and rates went back up, right? So it's important to have everything ready, guys. And there's a lot of people waiting on the sidelines for rates to drop.
A lot of people. I would 100% agree. Yeah. So that wraps it up, homies. Angel, where can we find you at?
At Your Mortgage Angel on Instagram.
At Your Mortgage Angel on Instagram. You know where to find us, at the Losangeles Group. With that said, homies, peace out.
Hey, homies, it's Angel from the Homies Real Estate Podcast. This podcast contains our opinions and is for educational purposes only. It does not guarantee any projections and should not serve as the basis for any purchase or sale in real estate.